A millionaire single dad discovered a homeless lady digging in trash for food on Christmas Day. Her words changed him forever. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's story is one of the most emotional and soul-stirring stories you will ever hear. It's a story about love, second chances, and how one small moment on Christmas Day changed a man's entire life forever. Before we dive in, please take a second to hit the subscribe button like this video, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that miracles can still happen. Your support really means the world to me and helps me bring you more powerful stories like this one. Now, let's get into today's story. Snow blanketed the streets of Manhattan like a soft quilt, glittering under the faint glow of the Christmas lights. The world outside was alive with cheer. Laughter spilled from restaurants, families hurried home with gifts tucked under their arms, and choirs sang carols that echoed through the crisp winter air. But high above it all, behind the tall glass windows of a luxury penthouse, Ethan Walker sat alone. Ethan was the kind of man people envied. Tall, handsome in a refined way, with sharp suits and sharper success. At just 42, he had built an empire in real estate, turning broken buildings into shining towers. To the world he had everything. But tonight his wealth meant nothing. His mansion was silent, except for the faint ticking of the grandfather clock in the hallway. The silence pressed against him, reminding him of what money could never buy. Warmth, love, family. His wife had been gone for 6 years now. Cancer had taken her swiftly, cruelly, leaving him with their little daughter, Lily, who was now 9. Ethan adored her, but tonight she was asleep upstairs, curled in her pink pajamas, dreaming of Santa Claus. He could have woken her, could have let her laughter fill the halls. But he didn't. He didn't want her to see his loneliness. She deserved joy, not the hollow emptiness that sat on his chest like a stone. He poured himself a glass of whiskey, staring at the amber liquid as though it held answers. Outside, fireworks crackled faintly in the distance. He should have been at one of the glittering parties his colleagues invited him to. Beautiful people, champagne, cameras flashing. But he couldn't stomach the fake smiles. His soul ached for something real, something alive. And so, on a strange impulse, Ethan grabbed his coat, wrapped a scarf around his neck, and stepped outside. The cold hit him like a slap, but it was grounding. He shoved his hands deep into his pockets and walked with no destination in mind, letting the city guide him. The further he wandered from the bright, polished blocks, the more the city changed. Glittering windows gave way to dimly lit streets. Christmas trees in apartment lobbies turned into broken neon signs flickering over shuttered stores. Here Christmas looked different. The air carried not the smell of roasted chestnuts but of damp concrete and faint garbage. The cheer of the season faded into shadows. And that's when he saw her. At first, he thought it was just movement by the dumpster across the street. But then he saw the figure clearly. A woman, thin as a shadow, wrapped in layers of torn clothing. Her hair hung in tangled strands around her face, and her hands shook as she rummaged through the black bags piled beside her. The sight rooted Ethan to the spot. She was digging, searching. Her fingers pulled at wrappers, at half-empty containers, at anything she might salvage. But what stopped Ethan was not the act. It was the way she did it. With grace. Every time she found something, she carefully placed it beside her, as though even scraps deserved respect. When she came across something unusable, she set it aside with quiet dignity. And then when she paused, she lifted her head. For the briefest second their eyes met. Ethan felt his chest tighten. There was no begging in her gaze, no plea for pity. Instead, there was a flicker of something he hadn't seen in years. Defiance. As if she were saying, I may be broken, but I am not defeated. Ethan should have walked away. It wasn't his business. He was a millionaire. She was a stranger digging through trash. Their worlds had no reason to collide. But his feet betrayed him, carrying him closer. Cold night, Ethan said softly. His breath rising like smoke in the freezing air. The woman looked up, startled. Her eyes, green, sharp, and filled with weariness, narrowed as though trying to gauge him. Every night's cold out here, she replied, her voice low but steady. Ethan hesitated. He wanted to say something comforting but nothing felt right. Instead he muttered, "It's Christmas. You shouldn't be out here alone." That was when she gave a bitter little laugh, one that wasn't cruel but heartbreaking in its honesty. Funny, isn't it? The whole world is out there celebrating joy, family, love. And here I am, digging through trash. That's Christmas for me. Her words hit him like a blow. Simple, honest, brutal. Ethan felt a pang deep inside him, sharper than he expected. He had everything yet nothing. She had nothing, yet her words carried the kind of raw truth that money couldn't buy. "What's your name?" Ethan asked gently. She blinked, suspicious. "Why do you care?" "Because I do," he said simply. "Oz." Then reluctantly she said, "Clara." Clara. The name lingered in the cold air between them, soft yet heavy. Ethan nodded. "I'm Ethan." Clara shrugged. "Nice to meet you, Ethan. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to get back to." She gestured at the trash bags. But Ethan couldn't walk away. Something in her voice, her eyes, her broken dignity, stirred something in him he hadn't felt in years. "Come with me," he said suddenly. Clara froze. "What?" "Come with me. There's a diner around the corner. It's warm. I'll buy you a meal. It's Christmas. No one should be out here hungry tonight." Clara stared at him for a long moment, suspicion and pride warring on her face. "I don't need pity." Ethan shook his head. "And I'm not offering pity. I'm offering dinner. Just dinner." Another silence stretched between them. Then, slowly, Clara's shoulders slumped. She looked so tired, so worn down by the world. "Fine," she whispered. "Just dinner." As they walked side by side through the icy streets, Ethan felt something shift in his chest. He didn't know it yet, but this small choice, this moment of kindness, was the beginning of everything. For the first time in years, on Christmas Day of all days, Ethan Walker wasn't alone. The bell above the diner door jingled as Ethan pushed it open, holding the door for Clara. A rush of warm air enveloped them, carrying the smell of coffee, pancakes, and fried bacon. The sudden shift from freezing streets to cozy comfort made Clara pause, her eyes blinking against the light. For a moment, she looked out of place. Ragged coat, torn gloves, worn-out shoes leaving melted snow on the checkered tiles. A few customers lifted their heads, glancing at her, then quickly looked away. Ethan noticed. So did Clara. But she kept her chin high, her pride a shield against judgment. "Booth or counter?" Ethan asked gently. "Doesn't matter," Clara muttered, though her eyes darted toward the booths. She didn't say it, but Ethan could tell. She wanted space, privacy, dignity. He chose a booth in the corner, away from curious eyes. Clara slid into the seat, her movements cautious, almost guarded, as if she wasn't sure this was real. Ethan sat across from her, loosening his scarf. A waitress approached, offering a polite smile. "What can I get you folks tonight?" Clara's hands fidgeted under the table. Ethan could sense her hesitation, so he said smoothly, "We'll take 2 coffees to start. And," he looked at Clara encouragingly, "whatever she wants. Anything." Clara's throat bobbed as she swallowed. "Just eggs, scrambled, and toast." The waitress scribbled it down, but Ethan shook his head. "Make it a full breakfast platter. Eggs, toast, bacon, pancakes. And add some soup to start." He smiled kindly at Clara. "No arguments." Clara shot him a look that was half annoyance, half surprise. "I didn't ask for all that." "You didn't have to," Ethan said softly. "You look like you need it." For a moment Clara's mask slipped. Her eyes glistened, but she quickly turned away, staring at the napkin dispenser. "Don't read me like a charity case," she whispered. Ethan leaned forward. "I don't see a charity case. I see someone who deserves a hot meal. Especially tonight." The coffee arrived first, steaming in white mugs. Clara cupped hers in both hands as if holding on to warmth itself. Ethan sipped his quietly, giving her space. Finally Clara spoke, her voice low. Why did you stop? Why me? Ethan considered his words. Because I couldn't walk past. Because you reminded me of something I lost. Clara raised an eyebrow, skeptical. Lost? You look like you've never lost a thing in your life. Ethan let out a hollow laugh. Looks are deceiving. I've lost more than you'd think. Silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken stories. Then Clara sighed, staring into her coffee. I used to love Christmas. The lights, the songs, the smell of cookies in the oven. My mom would make gingerbread houses every year. We didn't have much, but it felt magical. Her voice cracked on the word mom. She cleared her throat and continued. But things change. People change. And now, Christmas just reminds me of everything I don't have anymore. Ethan felt his chest ache. What happened, Clara? Her fingers tightened around the mug. Life happened. One wrong turn. One wrong man. One job loss. And suddenly, you're not a person anymore. You're a ghost walking among the living. People don't look at you, they look through you. Or worse, they stare like you're dirt. She laughed bitterly. You want to know the funny part? I used to walk past people like me and think, they must have made bad choices. Her words stung him because they rang true. He too had judged without knowing. Now he sat across from a living story, raw and unpolished. You're stronger than you think, Ethan said quietly. Clara's eyes flicked up to his. Don't romanticize me. I'm just surviving. Surviving is strength, he replied. Don't downplay it. The waitress returned, setting down plates that filled the table. Golden pancakes stacked high, crispy bacon, steaming bowls of soup, eggs fluffy and hot. Clara froze, staring at the spread as though it were a feast from another lifetime. Eat, Ethan urged. Slowly, she lifted her fork. The first bite of scrambled eggs made her eyes flutter shut for a moment. She chewed carefully, swallowing hard, as if her body wasn't used to this kind of comfort anymore. She didn't speak, but Ethan saw the tiniest glimmer of gratitude in her face. Halfway through the meal, Clara finally said, Why are you really doing this? Ethan hesitated. Then he admitted, Because I'm tired of being alone. Because I've spent too many nights surrounded by luxury but empty inside. And tonight, I wanted something real. Clara studied him, skeptical but curious. And you think you'll find real with someone like me? A woman who digs through trash. Ethan held her gaze. I think real is exactly what you are. For the first time Clara smiled, small, cautious but genuine. It lit her tired face in a way that made Ethan's chest tighten. When the plates were empty and the waitress cleared the table, Clara leaned back, her hands resting on her stomach. I can't remember the last time I ate this much. Ethan smiled faintly. Then I'd call that a Christmas miracle. Clara chuckled softly, shaking her head. You're strange, Ethan. Most people don't even look twice at me. And here you are, spending Christmas dinner with a stranger who smells like the street. You're not a stranger anymore, Ethan said gently. Not to me. Her smile faded, replaced by something heavier, sadder. Don't get too close. People who get close to me regret it. Ethan didn't push. But in his heart, he knew one thing. Whatever Clara's story was, he wanted to hear it. And for the first time in years, the silence inside him felt just a little less empty. The snow had thickened outside the diner window, coating the streets in white silence. Inside, the clinking of cutlery and low hum of Christmas tunes filled the background, but at their corner booth, time seemed to move differently. Clara sat with her arms folded now, staring at the empty plate as though it carried memories she wasn't ready to face. Ethan noticed the way her shoulders trembled, not from cold but from something else. Something heavier. You don't have to tell me anything, he said gently. But if you want to, I'll listen. For a long moment Clara didn't respond. Then she let out a shaky laugh, one without humor. Listening. People don't do that much these days. They just talk. Dismiss. Her eyes, tired and red-rimmed, finally lifted to meet his. What do you want to know, Ethan? Why a woman like me ends up digging through garbage on Christmas Eve? Why I sleep under bridges while the world celebrates with their families? Ethan said nothing, just nodded. Clara leaned back, exhaling slowly. Fine. But don't expect some polished story. Mine is messy. She began quietly, almost as though speaking to herself. I wasn't always this way. Had dreams once. I grew up in a small town, the kind where everyone knows everyone. My mom worked 2 jobs, my dad left before I could walk. We didn't have much, but she gave me everything she could. She used to say, Clara, don't let life make you bitter. Promise me you'll stay kind. Clara paused, blinking hard. But kindness doesn't always keep you safe. Ethan leaned in, his hand resting loosely on the table. What happened? Her lips pressed into a thin line before she whispered. I fell in love. Or at least I thought I did. He was older, charming, told me I was special. And I believed him. I built my world around him. She shook her head bitterly. Until the day he decided I wasn't enough. Ethan's jaw tightened. He didn't know the man, but he hated him already. I left my hometown for him. Burned bridges. My mom begged me not to go, but I thought I knew better. Then one day, I came home to an empty apartment, bills stacked on the counter, and a note that said I'm sorry. That was it. She gave a hollow laugh. Sorry doesn't pay rent. Sorry doesn't keep the lights on. The diner's warmth seemed to fade as her words hung in the air. Ethan's chest ached at the thought of her, young and hopeful, watching her life unravel. So you ended up on the streets? He asked quietly. Not right away, Clara said. At first I tried to fight. Got 2 jobs, barely slept. But the world doesn't care if you're drowning. One illness, one missed paycheck, and you slip through the cracks. She swallowed. I lost my apartment. My mom had passed by then. No family, no safety net. Just me, carrying shame and an empty stomach. She stared out the frosted window, her reflection faint. You know the worst part. People look at you like you're invisible. Or worse, like you're dangerous. They don't see a person. It's trash. And after a while, you start to believe it. Ethan's throat tightened. He wanted to say something, anything, but words felt clumsy compared to her raw truth. Instead, he whispered, You're not trash, Clara. You never were. Her lips trembled. For a moment, it looked like she might cry, but she blinked it away. Don't say things you don't mean. I mean it, Ethan said firmly. A heavy silence stretched between them until Clara tilted her head. What about you, Ethan? A man like you. Why are you sitting here with me instead of with your family? You wear loneliness like a suit, but I don't buy that you're just some generous stranger. Ethan stiffened. She was sharper than he expected. He took a deep breath. You're right. I'm not just generous. I'm broken too. Clara raised an eyebrow, skeptical. I had a wife, Ethan said, his voice dropping low. We married young. She was my whole world. We built a life together, dreamed of raising a family. And for a while it was perfect. His hand curled into a fist on the table. But life doesn't care about perfect. She got sick. The kind of sickness money can't cure. I tried everything. Doctors, hospitals, treatments, but in the end she slipped away. Clara's expression softened, her defenses lowering. After she died, Ethan continued, I buried myself in work. I thought if I made enough money, filled my house with enough things, the emptiness would go away. But it never did. So, here I am, a millionaire with no one to share it with. And tonight, I couldn't stand the silence anymore. For the first time, Ethan's voice cracked. He quickly cleared his throat, embarrassed. Clara studied him for a long time before whispering. So we're both ghosts then. You lost love, I lost life. Maybe, Ethan said. Or maybe we're both still here for a reason. The words hung between them, fragile but powerful. Clara's eyes softened in a way Ethan hadn't seen before. She looked at him. Not at his wealth, not at his tailored coat, but at him. And for the first time in years, Ethan felt seen. "You know what my mom used to say," Clara murmured. "She said broken things can still shine." Ethan smiled faintly. She was right. A tear slipped down Clara's cheek before she quickly wiped it away. "Don't get used to this. I don't usually cry in front of strangers." "Good thing I'm not a stranger anymore," Ethan said quietly. As they sat in the glow of the diner's lights, something unspoken began to form between them. A connection, delicate yet undeniable. They were two people from different worlds, bound by loss and loneliness, both searching for something they couldn't name. For Ethan, it was the first time in years he felt hope stir inside him. For Clara, it was the first time she allowed herself to believe she wasn't completely alone. And neither of them knew that this unexpected Christmas Eve meeting was only the beginning of a story that would change them both forever. That cold, merciless night was unbearable. Without thinking, he blurted, "No, you're not going back out there." Clara froze. "Excuse me." "You heard me," Ethan said, his tone firmer now. "I can't just sit here, listen to everything you've been through, and then let you walk back into the snow. Not tonight. Not ever." She narrowed her eyes, suspicion rising. "And what do you suggest? That I follow you home like some charity case? That I become your good deed for the season so you can feel better about your lonely mansion?" Her voice was sharp, defensive. Ethan didn't flinch. "No," he said quietly. "I'm not offering charity. I'm offering a chance." Clara laughed bitterly. "A chance? What? Pretending I belong in your world? You don't. Look at me, Ethan. I don't fit into your perfect life. People like you don't keep people like me around." He leaned forward, his voice steady. "Clara, I don't have a perfect life. Have money, yes. Big house, yes. But it's empty. Do you know what it's like to come home every night to silence? To eat at a table built for six, but sit alone? To have everything you thought you wanted, and realize it means nothing without someone to share it with?" Clara's lips trembled, but she shook her head stubbornly. "And you think I can fix that?" Ethan's answer was immediate. "No. I don't want you to fix me. I don't want to be alone anymore. And I don't want you to be alone either." For the first time, Clara had no words. Her defenses, her sarcasm, her shields, they all faltered. No one had ever said those words to her. No one had ever looked past her ragged coat and dirt-stained gloves to see her as a person worth staying for. Tears stung her eyes before she quickly wiped them away. "Ethan, don't do this. Don't make promises you'll regret." "I don't make promises I can't keep," Ethan said softly. "Come home with me tonight. Just tonight. No strings. A warm bed, a safe place. Tomorrow if you want to leave, I won't stop you. But please, don't go back out there." The weight of his sincerity was crushing. Clara stared at him, searching for the lie, the hidden motive. But she found none. Her voice broke. "Why me? Out of everyone, why stop for me?" Ethan's gaze held hers, steady and unshakable. "Because when I saw you in that alley, I didn't just see a homeless woman. I saw someone who still had fire in her eyes, even if the world tried to put it out. And I realized, maybe saving you is the only way I can save myself." The words hung in the air, heavy and raw. Clara's chest rose and fell with uneven breaths. She wanted to run, to flee from the terrifying hope rising inside her. But at the same time, she longed to believe him. Her mother's words echoed in her mind. Broken things can still shine. Finally, with trembling hands, Clara whispered, "Okay." Ethan blinked. "Okay." She nodded, tears sliding down her cheeks. One night. No strings. Just one night. A small smile tugged at the corners of Ethan's lips. Relief, gratitude, something deeper. He couldn't describe it. He simply nodded. One night. Minutes later, they stepped outside together. The snow had stopped, leaving the world covered in a thick, glistening blanket. The street lamps glowed golden against the white, casting long shadows as they walked. Ethan led the way to his car, a sleek black sedan parked near the curb. Clara hesitated, staring at her reflection in the polished windows. She looked like an imposter, a ghost standing at the edge of a life she didn't belong to. Ethan noticed her hesitation and gently touched her arm. "Clara, you don't need to be anyone else tonight. Just be you." She swallowed hard, then slid into the passenger seat. As the car purred to life and they drove through the quiet streets, Clara pressed her forehead against the cold window. She whispered almost to herself, "What am I doing?" Ethan glanced at her, his voice calm. "You're taking a chance. And so am I." When they reached his house, a sprawling estate set behind iron gates, Clara's eyes widened. The mansion loomed like a cathedral, lights twinkling from every window, garlands draped along the porch. It was the kind of home she had only seen in movies, a symbol of wealth and stability she had never known. She froze on the front steps, her legs refusing to move. "I don't belong here," she whispered. Ethan turned to her, his expression tender. "You belong wherever you're wanted. And you're wanted here." For the first time in years, Clara felt the faintest glimmer of something she had long buried, hope. As Ethan opened the door and gestured her inside, Clara crossed the threshold, not knowing that this single step would change both of their lives forever.